Last night I journeyed backwards in time to the medieval world of Dark Tower. In this amazing game, I had to find 3 keys, lay siege to the tower, and defeat the enemy within. Each move was a challenge. The computer kept track, giving me secret information, pictures, sounds, surprises. Then, ahead of my opponent, I made my move. The battle was joined, and I was victorious. Dark Tower from MB Electronics.
Welcome everyone to this mini Toy Tube episode where we'll be talking about Dark Tower. It's more than a game, it's an experience. He's Arkay.
And he's Willie.
So, Dark Tower. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm doing this. Get me all worked up over this. Don't get me started on Dark Tower.
Well, it's actually a really fun game. It's too bad it wasn't out for very long.
It was out for 1 year.
Yeah.
1981, I believe.
Yes.
And I bought it we've talked about this so many times on past episodes. I bought it in 82. We played it all the time. I let it sit dormant for a few years, like 10 years. I took it apart. I fixed the gears. I got it all going again. And why would I keep a game that I loved from 1982 up until 2015, and just because I was moving, and it was in the box.
Oh.
I had parts. The thing was, and I sold it because I just didn't feel like packing it up when I was moving. And I thought, well, I haven't played it in a long time. So this is one of those things where, remember in the old cartoons, you had that lever hanging from the tree with the rope and the boot was attached, and you go out there and you would kick you in the butt.
Yes.
Well, I built one of those, and I use that all the time whenever I think of Dark Tower. Yeah. Can't believe how stupid I was, but go ahead.
Yeah, I first saw Dark Tower in the Christmas catalog back in 1981. I think it was the JCPenney catalog. I can't remember which one it was, but back then you always got these catalogs from Montgomery Ward, Sears, JCPenney, all them stores, and they always had the toy sections. You go through and you circle stuff you wanted for Christmas. I mean, that's something that's long gone. That I kind of miss seeing those catalogs.
That's all been spoiled now by the way things are done now. And, those nights of like after school or on a Saturday, you had some time to kill and that Christmas was coming and you would sit there with that thing.
Yeah.
Leaf through it and build the anticipation and make the list for your parents or whatever. And what do kids do now? They can't even go to Toys R Us and pick things out.
I know. It's a shame. That and Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on their devices and they're shopping off of Amazon or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's just so different now.
But I do remember seeing it in the catalog, and I wanted to get it for Christmas that year. They had that, and they also had the Mattel Electronics Dungeons & Dragons electronic game as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really big in playing Dungeons & Dragons, and my parents knew that. So they bought me that instead of Dark Tower. Even though I had Dark Tower circled, they knew I liked Dungeons & Dragons, so they bought me that instead. So I didn't get a chance to play this game until my cousin got it for Christmas. That same year, we went to their house, and he got a Dark Tower for Christmas. And we played that thing pretty much all day long.
Yeah.
We played my Dungeons & Dragons maybe once or twice to change it up, but we spent most of our time playing Dark Tower. It is such a fun game.
Well, 1982, it was really when Atari was coming on strong with all the arcade conversions, Ms. Pac-Man and, all the, Joust, all that stuff was coming out to the Atari. I really thought that board games were dead. And, I'm a little older than you, and I thought, I'm not going to sit around and play a board game with anybody, and I don't care how cool that commercial with Orson Welles looked for selling Dark Tower. I just really wasn't interested. And do you remember that commercial, that Orson Welles?
Yes, I do.
Pretty cool. So, my sister, of all people, who's older than me, she calls me up, and she goes, "Have you ever heard of Dark Tower?" And I'm like, yeah, it's either a wine or a game, because Orson Welles sold both on TV back then. I said, which one is it? She goes, it's the board game. And and she's like, I said, well, what about it? She goes, I bought it. She goes, we've been playing it every weekend up here. She goes, you have to come up. You have to play this. This thing is unbelievable. So I'm like, yeah, okay, well, when I'm there sometime, you can take it out. I was really blasé about it because I just thought, give me a joystick, that's all I need. So, of course, anything you put a dragon in is going to be cool, right? Anything with a dragon, and I'm there. And, but I did go up and I saw her and, she had Dark Tower all set up, which is very impressive looking the first time you see it on a table with a big tower in the middle and the terrain all around it and the little buildings and everything. And I was hooked. We sat and we played it, and I couldn't believe it. And for those days, it was a nice blend of a little bit of electronic and the whole board game thing. Mm-hmm. And unlike a video game, it was if 4 of you were playing, it was very social. I mean, it was a lot of socializing going on, which doesn't happen a lot with a video game because you can't turn your head. You have to be staring at the screen. You have to concentrate and all that. But with Dark Tower, you could actually sort of socialize. And I just fell in love with it. I think when I went home the next day, I went out and they were all stacked up at Toys R Us. Those were the days. We're walking to Toys R Us, and everything was stacked up, and you could just, there it was, the big brown box, and I slid it off and carried this monstrous box down to the checkout, and I was so happy. Terrific game, and it still is, and it's too bad it had so many legal problems that sort of messed it up.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate. The whole reason why we lost it because of the lawsuit that was brought forth by Robert Burton and Alan Coleman. They submitted a game to Milton Bradley before Dark Tower that was called Triumph that also involved Electronic Tower as a centerpiece. And it sure does look like they got ripped off.
Well, you see 2 games on a shelf, and they probably were ripped off. I mean, I don't know. But you go into a toy store and there's a game sitting there called Triumph and one called Dark Tower. Which one are you going for?
Dark Tower.
Yeah, especially when they have a big freaking dragon breathing fire, on the side. So, it's unfortunate that happened. I wish they could have come to some sort of legal agreement, some settlement where it could have continued. Because I think a lot of people did know about this game.
No.
But can you imagine, who finally put this game out? Who was putting out Dark Tower back then?
Milton Bradley.
Milton Bradley. So you have the power of a company like Milton Bradley, and they're seeing what's happening with Dark Tower. Can you imagine the succession of similar games with different themes that could have... Because that's what Milton Bradley would... Well, you know what? We had success with Chutes and Ladders for preschoolers. Let's do, I don't know, Candyland, Yeah. So the same thing could have happened with, Dark Tower. It could have been a science fiction themed game, similar to the same mechanism as Dark Tower, kind of a thing. They could have done a lot of different things, a horror-based game. So it's really unfortunate that this did not get settled, and it could have, spawned more games like that. It just sort of went away, and that was it. They were done.
Yeah, because once the lawsuit came through, they were all pulled off the shelves, and they became very hard to find. I didn't get a chance. I wanted one back then, but I didn't have a job, so I couldn't buy one on my own because I was a kid. By the time I did get a job where I could actually buy one, I couldn't find them.
Yeah. So it's heartbreaking to think that when they got shipped back to Milton Bradley under the court order, all of those unsold games were destroyed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I would have been loading up the trunk of my car if I worked for Milton Bradley. I'd be like, oh, let me just put it. Yeah, I'll take this batch out to the incinerator. Oh yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, my car over there. Yeah, so but what a shame.
I think I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 over the years that have been for sale, like at a flea market. But typically they've been missing a bunch of parts, or they were pretty ratty looking, so I didn't pick them up. And the set I just picked up last weekend is the first one I've ever bought.
So, tell me about that. Did you have parts missing, and what did you do?
Well, I'll tell the story first. I have an alert set on Facebook Marketplace for Dark Tower. And I'm out traveling for my day job, and my phone beeped off saying, there's a new listing. So I looked. There was a Dark Tower for sale. It was just listed like an hour before I got notified. So I contacted the guy and made arrangements to come pick it up when I got back into town. So he held it for like a day for me. And I went and picked it up, and I talked him down to $90. So, I was pretty happy to pay $90. I didn't know if the tower worked or not because I didn't have any batteries on me. It looked pretty good. The box itself looks pretty pristine. It's in a really good box. And the only pieces it was missing was one of the red pegs for your little cards. And it was missing one other piece as well. I can't remember what the other piece was that was missing. But I've got it now because I bought some. I bought one. But, yeah, I got it home, and I got it all set up. And like normal, the tower didn't spin. Made little dash lights, hit the button, they would go out, nothing would happen, which is a common thing that occurs with those towers. So I took mine apart, and I started working on it, and I found that the little transistor that turns on the motor was dead. But I went ahead and jumped it. Motor did turn, so I know the motor works perfectly fine. So I got some parts in order so I can fix my tower to get it working again. Other than that, everything else is really good. I did notice, though, in my set, the gray pieces, they became super brittle, I guess, from sitting in the attic for so long at this guy's house where it came from. That it would just fall apart when you touch it. So I had to buy a whole set of gray buildings and a replacement gray figure because these all just fell apart from the heat. All the other pieces are fine. It was just the gray ones that crumbled apart. Very weird.
Where do you get the replacement parts?
Found them on eBay.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of spare parts for sale on eBay for Dark Tower. I mean, that's where I picked up the extra red pin. I picked up the extra set of buildings from off of there. So that was kind of handy because I didn't know what I was going to do.
Now, you said that your Dark Tower wasn't working due to a transistor. Typically, I think what happens is the gears get gummed up over just not being used. So in my case, my transistors were working, but it really needed to be cleaned and oiled and I remember working on the gears. I took some of the stuff apart, cleaned everything, re-greased, re-oiled everything, and it worked just like the day I bought it.
Yeah, that's what I did to this one while I had it apart. I greased up everything, so when I put it back together, it'll run really well. The tower itself is very impressive looking.
Yes, yeah.
And I love the artwork of the light-up panels.
The artwork is great, except as much as I love anything with a dragon in it, you hate seeing when the dragon pops up.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't want to see is when that dragon pops up on there. But I love all the artwork.
Oh, there's the cylinder, yeah.
Yeah, the cylinder.
Artwork is great.
Almost like have one of these, put a light bulb in it, and just let it sit there and spin and project the pictures on the wall. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a foolish thing back. Well, I didn't know. I don't think people really knew. So I got so into it that, like a pool shark who has his own stick, I needed my own Dark Tower pieces. So I went to one of those stores that sold those little fantasy figures. Now we're talking 1982. And I bought different Dungeons and Dragons pewter figures.
Oh, yeah, like these little guys from the Dungeons and Dragons Mattel game.
Yes, but I bought exotic-looking creatures. I bought trolls, and I bought bat-winged guys, and I wanted something really fancy. And then I bought this huge dragon, about a little bit bigger than the one that comes in the Dark Tower game, but I wanted a very dramatic, ferocious-looking dragon. So I bought all these pewter pieces. And years later, before I sold it, of course, I had a friend over, and he said, "How come you don't use my plastic pieces were still in the bag. They were hardly touched." And he said, how come you're not using those? I said, oh, well, wait. And I took out these pewter pieces. Well, it turned out that these pewter pieces were lead. And he said, you played with these? And I said, well, yeah. He goes, those are lead. And he says, they stopped selling these because they're lead. They're dangerous. And I'm like, oh, no kidding. Well, just made the game a little bit more dangerous to play, you know. So those immediately got put into into that tight case that I made a table out of, and nobody touches them. They're all behind glass and everything now. And so, like I said, I didn't know better. I didn't rub them or anything. I was just, you know. But those are the pieces I used to buy, specific, you know, special pieces for Dark Tower.
Yeah, Heidi, she wants to use the pieces from the Mattel Dungeons and Dragons electronic game when we play it. Because she likes those, especially the dragon. She really likes the dragon from the Dungeons and Dragons set. That's kind of cool. That's the beauty of board games. You don't have to use, you know, the pieces that came with it. You can substitute others and make it more fun. And I think your idea is really great, using fantasy figures, pewter fantasy figures, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's probably what I'll do with this game. Is I'll keep the plastic ones stored and just use these pewter ones when me and my wife play the game.
Compared to the compared to the custom pewter ones that you can buy, I found, you know, the plastic ones did the job that came with the game, but I just found the ones that I bought, they were a little bit more exciting, a little bit more dramatic than the ones that came with the game. I do remember that by the time I got into 8-bit computing with the Commodore 64, I kept thinking, because I'm not a programmer, you know, I was always experimenting with graphics and everything on it, but I was thinking, somebody needs to make a computer game like Dark Tower, the computer game. And of course, we sort of have that now. Hello, we do. We have that now in the App Store.
Oh, yes.
that was a huge cue, Willie.
I couldn't figure out what you were referring to.
That was a big cue.
Yeah. Yeah, what's really cool now is on the App Store you have Dark Towers. It's called Dark Tower on the App Store for Apple. And on the Android, it's called Droid Tower. But you can do it in two different ways. You can have the actual simulated tower and your little scorecard. So you can use this in substitute of a tower if you got the board game and your tower doesn't work. That's what me and my wife's been doing. We've been using this app to play the game instead of the tower when I'm trying to get it fixed. Or you can have it actually pull the board up on the screen and move your little character around. It has like little plastic pieces you move around and stuff.
Yeah, the board rotates.
It's actually a really good app.
It's so good, in fact, that after you told me about it, I downloaded it, and I was playing it. And I thought, well, I'm just going to try this for a couple of minutes just to make sure it works. And a half an hour later, I'm still sitting there, totally absorbed in the game. And I was doing, I hadn't played this game in, quite a while. And it all came back to me. So I didn't really need I didn't need to refamiliarize myself with the directions or anything. And I played the virtual game. So the board was there, and I don't have the board or anything. So I played the virtual game, which is very realistic. It's very, realistic as far as it looks exactly like what would be on your tabletop. And they even put in the noises of the gears. Artwork in the tower, which was kind of cool. They added a little bit of music here and there, but yeah, all those sound effects that were in the tower are in the app. Yep, that's what I played. And my first time playing, I'm playing for quite a while, taking more time than I was supposed to, and I was having a great time. And I had all the keys. I found all the keys, and I'm at the base of the tower. And my second shot to get into the tower, the dragon showed up and told me I failed at my conquest. And of course
You're not going anywhere.
Well, there's a half an hour I'm not getting back, And I'm like, I'm not going to play again. I got stuff to do. So it's very accurate to the actual board game. And so if anybody out there has heard of Dark Tower and you've heard people like Willie and me just go on and on about it, you can actually play it for free if you have a device and get an idea of what it was like that we were all. I think now a lot of it is nostalgia. You know?
It
I
is.
mean, I don't know. I don't know if people playing this for the first time today are going to be as excited as we were back in the early '80s. But maybe because good is good, and it was good.
When I was at the airport, I was playing this one, sitting there waiting for the plane, and this younger guy was sitting next to me, and he saw me messing around with it. I guess he was like in his early 20s. He was asking, what is that? I told him what it was. Dark Tower, like a Dungeons and Dragons game. He had never heard of it. And I explained to him, when it came out, and it went off the shelf, all that stuff. So we played a quick game. He got addicted to it pretty quick.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
He was downloading it on his phone.
So it holds up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really fun game,
Yeah, it is.
Mine even came with the replacement bulb pack as well.
Oh, nice.
Still sealed.
Oh, yeah, I had that in mind that I sold for, peanuts.
For peanuts.
The buildings, I'm looking at the video here that you have, the screen, the camera shot, and it's really clever the way they did the buildings because they made sure they put a flat surface for your man to stand on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's the dragon up there in the corner, up there. I see it. Or down there. Yeah, everything's flattened off so your warrior can stand on it.
It's a cool looking dragon.
When I bought the so-called pewter ones, which turned out to be lead, I bought some harem girls so I could have some female players because girls were playing with us, and they usually pick the female figures I bought. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty clever the way they made sure that everything had a flat surface that you could stand on. There are the keys.
There's the keys. One of the keys. You got to get one of each key.
Yep.
And that's one of the cool things about this game is you have to go exploring. You go all the way around the board counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Try not to get lost or get the plague or find the dragon.
You have to go haggle and buy some more warriors and food and the brigands, which are orcs, which show up. Yep, Pegasus. I got Pegasus and I flew to the tower and then the dragon ate me.
Yep. You like my little case I made?
I noticed that. I was going to comment on that.
Yeah, keeps them nice.
Yeah.
Here's a scorecard where you can actually keep track of what keys you have. And if you got a scout, which keeps you from getting lost. If you use your scout, it keeps you from getting lost. You have the beast, which will carry extra gold for you. You got the sword button, which you've got that, and you hit the dragon, you can fight the sword. You fight the dragon with the sword and get some of his stuff. Then we have the healer, which that heals the plague, and you keep track of how many warriors you got, how much gold you have, and how much food. It's a really good game to try to learn to manage your resources as you're going around the board.
Yeah, it's not I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but what I know about it, it's not as open range as a Dungeons and Dragons game. It's of course you're at the mercy of the tower and there is some strategy. There's a lot of strategy that you have to come up with and everything. But for a contained game like this, it is. I think it's open enough for most people. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, one of the cards one of the lights I like to see pop up is the wizard.
Yeah.
Where you can challenge, you curse somebody else on the board and get a quarter of their stuff.
Yes. Now, if this game came out today, the wizard might be able to reanimate some of your dead warriors, and then it could introduce Walking Dead warriors into the game.
Yeah, there we go.
There's a lot they could do with this. It's really too bad that this thing got killed before its time.
Well, my wife had never played this game before, ever. And like I said, I used that app and we played a game of it, and she wants to play it all the time now. We've played it multiple times already. She absolutely fell in love with it.
I have to say that even if you're not a game player of any kind and you're not interested in any of this stuff, I don't, and I've had people over the years that would I don't play, I don't, all that stuff. Every single person who sat down that I could talk into playing the game, and everybody did sit down and play the game, everybody walked away saying, this is great. I don't know anybody who said, I would never play that again, or what. Every single person raved about that game. And I'm not exaggerating it, because I have nothing to sell here. These things are almost impossible to find. I'm not promoting these, and it's just, but that's just the way it was.
Well, they are difficult to find. I saw one at Big Fun in Columbus, Ohio, but they won't sell it. And it was complete in the box.
So what was the point of that? Was it a museum piece?
No, it's just, I guess it's one of the owner's personal one, and just have it in there on display.
Oh, okay.
And then there's one for sale out in Las Vegas at the game store out there next to the Pinball Museum Hall of Fame. That's not for sale either. It's way up high on a shelf on display. I've seen them, just can't buy them.
And I've seen these things. They're what, $300-400 or something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what the original retail price was back in 81, 82.
Oh.
That would be really interesting to know, and then translated into modern dollars.
To modern dollars, yeah. Hang on a second, I can tell you real quick.
Okay.
I got the catalog page I remember looking at and wishing I could get this game for Christmas, but I got that other thing instead. But I liked it too. I played it quite a bit as well.
Now, you're not talking about the handheld Mattel Dungeons & Dragons.
No, this is the, well, let me grab it real quick so you can see what it looks like. I got it over here. Over in the toy tomb. Retro Lanch. This one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play as well.
That actually looks like a board game version of what you play with the handheld.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Amazed.
Let's see. It originally retailed for the Dark Tower $39.88.
Whoa!
And then after December 1st in this catalog, it went for $44.88.
Oh!
Wow!
That's what so I went out and I bought this after I played with my sister, and that's what I dropped on it. Wow!
Yeah, we'll see how much it is now in today's dollars. Let's see, $44.98. Wow. So, if I were to purchase this game today, back in 1981, it was $44.98. In today's dollars, it would be $127.05.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, I must have had a good job. I didn't think of anything of going out and just dropping that money.
You really liked the game.
I really did. I really did. This is why, sometimes, you have things like, I don't know, mini strokes that you don't even notice or whatever, because I sold the game because I was moving, which makes no sense whatsoever. No sense.
Oh, well.
I will go the rest of my life. They'll be like, do you have any regrets in your life? Yeah, I sold Dark Tower before I should have. That's my big regret in life.
Well, it's only taken me a few years to find this one, so.
Yeah, well, there's hope yet, I guess.
Just keep looking at Facebook Marketplace in your area and Craigslist and stuff.
Oh, I will.
I almost had one a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago. There's a lady selling a collection of board games near me for $100 for like 5 different board games, and one of them in there was Dark Tower.
And
when I contacted her, this listing had only been up for like 4 or 5 hours. When I contacted her, she told me a guy from California contacted her to have her mail it out there, all the games out there. I was like, dang it.
Wow. Yeah, that's how hot they are. But, the way I figure it is a lot of these collectors, they're going to move on, if you know what I mean, and their people left behind are going to be like, well, I don't know what this is. Let's just sell it. So they'll get recycled again.
We do have the re-release coming out next year, 2020, I'm looking forward to, by Restoration Games.
Yeah, I really hope that is, real authentic.
Yeah, I do too. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the app on my iPad because it is the actual game that I played with the sounds and the graphics and the build. Everything is exactly the same. And, I know Restoration Games is pretty good, but, sometimes, things that are reissued or whatever, they put an updated spin on it. And I really want it to be, exactly the same. I don't know if they can possibly do that. I mean, there might be copyright problems with that. I don't know. Because, you have the graphic artist. I suppose everything that you do, everybody who's employed, say, by Milton Bradley or whatever, everything is owned by Milton Bradley. And then if an independent company comes along and they buy the rights to it, they buy everything, which includes the graphics and the playing pieces. So, hopefully they'll be able to keep it pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in their name, right? Restoration, not create from scratch. That's their name. Restore, not create.
Now there is a program, I think it's available on Steam. It's called Tabletop Simulator, Tabletop Board Game Simulator, something like that. And they do have a Dark Tower file for that, where you can play the game in 3D, like you're actually sitting at the board. Yeah. Well, I haven't tried it out yet, but I saw that the other day.
I guess if people want to try it out before they try and hunt one down, there are ways to play this game.
Oh, yeah. You'll get it on the iOS or your Android and play it on your phone.
Yeah, and I have to put it on my phone, too, because the phone's always with me. And I was like, I think I'll just play a little round of Dark Tower,
Well, see, if you find yourself a board and some pieces, you just use your phone as the tower temporarily.
Yes, right. I could, or make my own pieces. Yeah. But, it's interesting. So I was so enamored with dragons in anything back then, and of course Dark Tower was no exception, that after a game of Dark Tower, I'm not making this up, I used to boot up Wing War on ColecoVision.
Oh, yeah.
Because something about that lone dragon flapping around and coming across all these creatures and, finding the gems and all that stuff in these caverns underground and flying up in the sky, Wing War sort of satisfied that dragon, itch that I would get sometimes.
Oh, yeah, that's a great game, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So that's my experience with Dark Tower.
Awesome. So that was Dark Tower. Do any of you guys out there have Dark Tower? If you do, comment down below. Send us an email at toytomb or thetoytomb@gmail.com. Share your story about Dark Tower. And as always, thanks for watching or listening, whichever way you're taking in this content.
Oh boy! Yeah!
Hey, there's Hasbro! Hasbro makes toys! What's new, Hasbro?
Pretty sneaky, sis.
Remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's okay, let them go. Some of the great SSP racers for 72.
M-A-R-X spells Mark, world's largest toy maker.
Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy.